Well, good morning, good morgen to my German guests and colleagues, and welcome to Mission Bay. My name is Terry Hermiston. I head the U.S. Biologics Research Group for Bayer HealthCare Pharmaceuticals, and I also serve as the site head for the U.S. Innovation Center here in the future Mission Bay. Thank you all for joining us today for what is exciting news for Bayer, for the city, for the state, and what we hope is also for the life sciences across the United States. To lead us off in this event, it is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Andreas Busch, who is the head of Global Drug Discovery for the Pharmaceutical Division of Bayer. Andy.
Well, thank you, Terry, and thank you for being here to what I certainly believe is a very important day for our discovery organization. More than 3 years ago, we started on executing on our R&D strategy, in which it was very clear what we wanted to accomplish. We wanted to focus on high unmet medical need of the population. And we also were clear that we wanted to focus on the most critical technology platforms. But it's not today about on what we focus, but how we want to do R&D in the future. And in this context, I guess you saw what we took as actions over the last 3 years. We really made very critically clear what we needed internally. Internally, we need the business critical technology platforms which help us forwarding our portfolio. But we also made it clear over the last few years that we want to focus much more on how we can tap into external innovation potential. That is absolutely important for us to understand how we can go forward in meeting the needs of the patients. And as you know, we have already in this context started an innovation center in China, in Beijing, and today it is of course my great pleasure to announce the opening or the establishment of the U.S. Innovation Center here in Mission Bay. Now, the major two goals of the U.S. Innovation Center are the following. A, we want to continue our very successful hemophilia research with a group which we had established here on the West Coast, but we want to put this group in the middle of an academic environment, of a biotech environment, of an environment where one can inspire each other and where you can go across the street to get thoughtful input about what you're doing. And the other part is what we call our science hub, which we want to use in order to really start new networks, start new types of collaborations, start what we believe should be an open innovation environment. This is what our engagement here in Mission Bay at the end is all about. Why Mission Bay, you may ask, and I have to disappoint a few of my US colleagues. It's not because of the proximity to the Giants Arena. It really is, if you look at it, for a very simple reasons. We analyzed very carefully where in the United States do we have the highest density of innovation, where do we have the highest funding of really breakthrough science, where do we have the highest generation of IP. And when we put everything together, it was clear it was the Bay Area. And then we thought, okay, within the Bay Area, where is really an environment with an entrepreneurial spirit? And talking to Regis Kelly, it was very clear to me where this place would be. And from that first moment on of discussions I had with Regis, we were extremely consequent in working out a plan to get our best people into the site. And of course, the third aspect is that we believe that this site really matches perfectly our needs with already available great researchers, with the expansion into gynecological and cancer hospitals here in the surroundings, exactly addressing what we want to address with our research efforts. So with this, I think it is very clear that what we can gain here is a win-win situation, and we are extremely excited about that. It goes without saying that all this would have not been possible with the help of many people over the past years. And whenever you start thanking one, of course you miss out another one. And therefore, I just want to thank everybody involved over the last year. I want to thank the state of California. Of course, I want to thank the city. And of course, here, Mayor Newsom was kind enough to come here today to address us. I want to thank Regis Kelly, who really helped me forming my clear view of what I want to accomplish here with this group of people. But most of all, I want to thank my people here. I really hope that you all have this sense of we're starting something new, we're starting something great. I thank you for your patience, and I thank you for your support over the last little while. Well, with this, it's now all up to us. It's up to us getting into the labs to work very soon. It's up to us not staying in the lab, but going out, searching for the interaction with the scientists here in this region, going to seminars, going for coffee. Yes, go for coffee and discuss science with other bright people. I thank you very much for being here for this very joyful moment. Thank you very much.
So my next guest is no stranger to the city of San Francisco. Serving on the supervisor board and now 2 terms as mayor, Gavin Newsom has spearheaded environmental issues and developed a successful, comprehensive strategy to foster life sciences, digital media, and clean technologies in the region. San Francisco is an amazing city, and we're happy to now be joining it and joining the business here. It is with great pleasure that I introduce to you then the Honorable Mayor Gavin Newsom.
Thanks, sir. Thanks, sir. Just because I'm feeling a little isolated in there. I guess we were expecting rain, but Fred Blackwell and Jen Matz, come on over, because these are some folks that need to be recognized as well. The head of our redevelopment agency and one of my key team members, the Mayor's Office of Economic and Workforce Development. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your stewardship. Thank you for your hard work. Thank you to members of the Redevelopment Commission that also took the time to be here. But most importantly, let me thank former Mayor Willie Brown, who just walked in, because in so many ways we would not be here. We wouldn't even have the platform to do what we've done in the last number of years had it not been for his stewardship and for his leadership. So a big round of applause for Mayor Willie Brown. I want to also acknowledge Supervisor Sophie Maxwell, who is technically your district? It's not. I love that. Who cares about these blurry lines of districts? She is a representative of the city and county of San Francisco, first and foremost, but has done so much to be a steward as well of the process through the redevelopment of this area, as well as the areas to our south, as we are trying to create a narrative of an innovation corridor, and how appropriate it is today to celebrate Mayor's innovation hub in this innovation corridor that connects the South of Market area into the Mission Bay, into the Central Waterfront, and eventually down to the anchor of this corridor, which will be the Green Tech Park that we're developing in the southeast sector in Bayview Hunters Point, the shipyard around Candlestick Point. We are proud of this effort. We're proud of the partnerships of David Crane, who's here, and Governor Schwarzenegger, and their hard work and their leadership and stewardship of being aggressive and not taking anything for granted as we go out and try to reach to the best and the brightest, and encourage and incorporate strategies to maintain our leadership and stewardship, as Professor Bush, I think, was saying, in terms of the development of human capital. Because at the end of the day, Bayer and Terry and the professor had a lot of choices where they go. Could have gone to the East Coast, could have gone outside the Bay Area and the southern part of the state, could have maintained their status here. But I think the great differentiator, when all things are equal, or at least you try to make them equal with tax incentives like the payroll tax exclusion that we have in San Francisco, workforce training incentives, and the state enterprise zone benefits of this area, when all things are equal, again, the differentiator is people, human capital, and the ability to attract the best and the brightest. And that's what I think the professor was making the case when he said, go get coffee, because that's about that interaction. It's about creating a sense of community. It's It's about exploring those things that make all of us unique and special and different, and then generating those ideas and that innovative spirit and that quality of imagination that I think defines the best of innovation, of entrepreneurialism, defines the best of Mission Bay, not just our present, but the promise of the future of this extraordinary area. I'll close just a few thoughts. You know, we worked very closely with Regis Kelly in QB3 a number of years ago, and we recognized we had 4 big problems. We called them the big Ps. One was perception, that biotech and life sciences, that was the arbiter of the southern part of the region, particularly southern part of our city, into South San Francisco. They had a competitive edge, Genentech and others. Even though Genentech started here in San Francisco, they moved to the South Bay, and they had clustered and really had gotten a stronghold there. So we had to change the perception that San Francisco cared and that we mattered in the context of life science and biotech. So we went out and we put together a Mayor's Biotech Advisory Committee. Gayle Medeiros, who's here, and Bay Bio and others came forth with some big conferences, and we made a case that San Francisco is a critical area to do business, particularly in this field, and that we wanted to bring back to its place of birth biotech and life science. The second one was we had a big problem with parking. Anyone knows, and I see smiles, they get it, you get it, we got it, and we had to change some of the parking ratios out here, particularly in Mission Bay. We're a transit-first city, and we've got great linkages, obviously 3rd Street Light Rail and Caltran and infrastructure that's built around the area, including ferry service and water transit and the like, but we needed to reconcile the fact that a lot of folks come up 280 and 101, and yes, they'll be in their car, and they needed to find a place to park. So we changed that second P, which is the parking issue. The third was the big one, permitting, and the need to fast-track some of the permitting. And one of the commitments we made to Nectar, will be a partner in this building behind us with Bayer, was to make sure we put together a public-private transaction team. And that's why I wanted to recognize Fred Blackwell and Jen Matz and our team, because they're the point people. So you don't have to hire some fancy consultant, pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to get the work done, but they'll be there to navigate all the permitting for you. And final, there was a payroll tax problem, the 4th P, that we had a payroll tax. No one else in the region actually charged you for creating jobs. You'd think if you wanted to promote jobs, we wouldn't actually charge you to create a job. Well, we decided to put together a payroll tax exemption, and we just had the Board of Supervisors in their infinite wisdom. We actually picked up some votes to extend that payroll tax extension with the good leadership of Supervisor Michaela Alioto-Pierre and Abstentia. We appreciate her work, and that addressed that 4th problem we had. Now we've moved from one biotech company 7 years ago now to arguably over 60 biotech companies, 30 clustered right here in Mission Bay. And final words, this area, as a consequence of these collective efforts and the extraordinary work, and that was reinforced, boy, wasn't it, a moment ago by the professor, in terms of great promoters and advocates like Regis Kelly, we saw the only area of our city, the submarket, with net absorption last year of office space. Real growth in the midst of all this macroeconomic gloom and doom. This area saw growth because of those efforts. Because, again, we didn't take things for granted. We went out there, we got aggressive, and in so many ways, at least from my perspective, we're celebrating that here today as well. It's all about momentum, and now Bayer will be out front, we hope, making the case for the next group to come in or consider Mission Bay and this great city. And for that, in expectation and hope, I am very grateful as well. So, Professor Bush, welcome to San Francisco. Terry, welcome to San Francisco. Bayer and its entire team, welcome to this side of the San Francisco Bay. And we believe out here in Mission Bay, the best is yet to come. Thank you all very much for coming up.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor Newsom. I'd like to just pause and give Supervisor Sophia Maxwell an opportunity to speak.
Well, after that, there's not much to be said. However, I remember a long time ago, way back when they said, if we build it, they will come. Well, I know it works with freeways, but I wasn't quite sure it would work here. But it's worked. Yes, it has worked. And they said, look, people will come here because they want to just eat next to people. They want to be in the environment. Well, as we've heard today, it does work, and we're happy to have you. I want to thank all of the employees. You're going to love San Francisco. You're going to love all of the things that we have here to offer, and our folks are ready for you. If you go anywhere in San Francisco, we've been talking about this so long, everybody knows what biotech is. Everybody knows what bioscience is. Everybody knows anything bio, San Franciscans are ready, and we understand it. So I want to again thank you and welcome, welcome, welcome. This is a great fit. Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie. So, the state of California boasts the strongest life sciences community in the nation, and that's why we chose to be here. A part of that is also the entrepreneurial spirit, much of which you've heard reflected by many of the speakers already. However, we also need and enjoy the support of the state, and so I'd like to introduce and welcome an advocate for the life sciences from the state, David Crane, who is the special advisor to the governor for jobs and economic growth. David.
Well, thank you, and congratulations to Bayer and UCSF and QB3 and the city of San Francisco on this great achievement. For the governor, this is icing on the cake. Last year, Bayer announced a $100 million investment in Berkeley to expand its operations there. Now they're expanding into San Francisco. For all the reasons that the mayor laid out, there's no better place for anybody who's engaged in life sciences and innovation than San Francisco. But it's also a bit of a cautionary tale. There's a reason that these companies are locating here and amidst the University of California at San Francisco. And it's another reason to express the importance of maintaining the funding for California's higher education system in California. I would point out that this is the first year in California's history that the state will spend more on retirement benefits than it will on the University of California and California State University. This is the reason that the governor has expressed the absolute importance of not only making sure that we spend more on higher education in California than we spend on prisons, but that we also spend more on higher education than we spend on retirement benefits. So if we want to continue to see biotechnology growing and life sciences growing in California, we need to make sure that we keep California's universities strong. And so I'm very pleased to be here today to express both messages, that the governor is very pleased with Bayer's expansion here, and that California needs to keep its higher education system strong. Thank you for having me here today.
Great. Thank you, David. So, pivotal to attracting Bayer and other biotechs to Mission Bay are the facilities and the people here for the University of California. Facilities like the new Diller Cancer Center and the upcoming Neuroscience Center and the Women's and Children's Hospital that'll be coming soon. A part of that and a driver for bringing industry and academia and biotech together is, as you've heard, Regis Kelly. I'd like to take this opportunity then to allow Regis the time to speak to you about that future vision, not only of what has happened today, but where he sees things going in the future. Please join me in welcoming Regis.
Thank you. So I want to start by thanking you all for coming on a cold Monday morning and standing listening. Actually, I'm sort of used to this. For many years, I used to, first thing on Monday mornings, 8 o'clock on Monday mornings, have to give lectures to first-year medical students. That is a challenging audience, let me tell you. So one of the things, thinking back about teaching medical students, was one thing that we used to teach them early on in their first lectures, and that was the following. If you look at the cures that medicine has been able to come up with on one side, and you look at all the diseases for which we have no cures, or we have inadequate cures on the other, our failures still far exceed our successes. This is a challenge for us all. And this, I think, is what drives us here this morning. What we need is for academics to come down from their ivory towers and to work very closely with the private sector, such as Bayer, to try and address their common interest in solving these major problems of society. So this is what we're trying to do here at Mission Bay, and the concept, I think, is fairly unique. Most medical schools around the world have academic scientists, basic scientists working with clinicians. What we're doing here at Mission Bay is something very different. We're arguing that now science goes from the scientist labs, goes to industry, to the private sector, to be developed into goods and services, And then those goods and services come back into the hospital area to be assessed and optimized. So the academic health center of the 21st century, which we're hoping to be building here at Mission Bay, has these three elements: academic scientists, strong partnership with industry, and also having the clinicians all in the same area, all within 10-minute walk of each other. And that's the crucial part, 10-minute walk. But the 10-minute walk is not enough. If we don't have some concrete way of networking these groups together, of having ways in which we talk to each other, it's not going to work. And this, fortunately, due to the insight of Governor Gray Davis and the California State Legislature, almost a decade ago, they helped create institutions like QB3, whose acknowledged mission is to be the interface between the academic scientists and the private sector. So that's what we're there to do. And that is what I think is going to contribute then to making this vision we have of Mission Bay a great success. Let me argue that it's not just us that are excited by this vision. One of the things that I find affirming is Atlantic Philanthropies, under its great leader, Chuck Feeney, has looked at every place in the United States and has chosen to put $300 million of their own foundation money into Mission Bay because they believe in the concept of what we have here. So if Atlantic Philanthropies can believe in us, shouldn't we believe in ourselves? And I think the answer is, of course, yes, we should. We have an unprecedented opportunity here to make the San Francisco Bay Area the absolute unchallenged world leader in finding solutions to those cures for which we have, for those diseases for which we have no cures. And I'm hoping that because of our partnership now with companies such as Bayer, that Mission Bay will be both the heart and the brain of our new scientific community. Thank you.
Thank you, Regis. So continuing the theme of bringing together public and private life science communities, I'd like to introduce to you Gayle Medeiros of Bay Bio to describe Bay Bio and this in more detail for you. Gayle.
Thank you, Terry. It's a pleasure to be here today and to welcome Bayer to our neighborhood. It is truly a huge milestone for Mission Bay to attract a global biopharma of the stature and caliber of Bayer. And we're delighted to have them join the community. Bayer has been recognized for innovation, for collaboration, and for enhancing the communities in which they're located. And we look forward to having them join the community of Mission Bay. Bay Bio is the industry organization that represents the 1,400 life science companies in Northern California. And we are very delighted to see the continued growth of the life sciences despite the recession and high unemployment within the state. Life science jobs in California grew last year, and we expect that trend to continue. There's a tremendous need for breakthrough drugs, medical devices, improving the quality of care of patients and families while reducing the cost of that care. Mayor Newsom talked about the 4 Ps that were problems in San Francisco. I'd like to talk about a 5th P that we see as a real positive, and that P is partnership. Developing drugs, developing new treatments is a very difficult business. It's a risky business, it's a costly business, and it needs a lot of great minds. We have a tremendous wealth of entrepreneurial talent here. We are the innovation center of the world when it comes to life sciences. But we can accelerate and improve our odds of success by working together. And this is the spirit of partnership is really ingrained in the fabric of our ecosystem within biotechnology. Partnerships between academia and the small entrepreneurial companies. Partnerships between academia and the large biopharmas. And between the small biotech companies and the large biopharmas. Working together, we can accelerate bringing new treatments to patients and improving the quality of life for Californians. So we are delighted to have Bayer here and look forward to integrating them into the fabric of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Gayle. I'd like to take this opportunity now to introduce another guest, Everhart Brockman. He's the Deputy General Counsel for the German Consulate here in San Francisco. Everhart, a few words.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, we are very proud to be here today with you, and I would like to add another aspect of this, what's going on here today. It's a part of the transatlantic cooperation which we have between California and the United States and Europe and Germany, which is and this is a very good example for that what's going on. We have a lot of cooperation, not only in this case, but it's a very excellent one. You can see here the cooperation between economic company and the research area. But some weeks ago, we had the pleasure of the visit from our Chancellor, Angela Merkel, and we had the opportunity to open an innovation lab from Volkswagen in Palo Alto, and we have a lot of cooperations here. I would like to mention also our cooperation with the California Institute of Regenerative Medicine, which have many links to German institutions. So we are very proud that Bayer is here now in San Francisco, and we wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Everhard. So you heard before that Mission Bay isn't something new. It's been developing for some time with quite a bit of investment from all sorts of individuals across cultures and across industry, academia, and biotech. As you heard before, one of the fathers of this whole concept was Willie Brown, and so I'd like to be sure to invite him to the podium to say a few words as the father of this whole process.
Mr. Mayor, thank you very much for your very kind remarks and reference to me. I must tell you that you were on the Board of Supervisors at the time that the 43 acres that we took from the people who owned it at the time, convinced them to allow us to have that 43 acres for purposes of starting the University of California's research campus, knowing that that research campus could lead to some much greater things. And sure enough, the research campus started, and you came aboard as mayor of the city and moved the agenda. And I think people are very impressed with the 4 references that you made to the 4 things that needed to be done to make all of this a reality, moving it from just the University of California campus, just the decision made by the Davis administration to locate one of the publicly funded medical facilities or research facilities here in Mission Bay, and then add all of the other components that have gone with that. And the 4 keys being as you described them, you should be congratulated for that, and I assume in your capacity as Lieutenant Governor, you'll expand that talent all over the state of California.
Thank you, Willie. Okay, so before we close, I'd like to recognize a few key groups. First, the staff of the Future U.S. Innovation Center. Could you please give a wave? Thank you all. Come on, give a wave so that folks know who you are. Thank you all for your patience. As Andy mentioned before, this has been a long process. Thank you for sticking with us and believing that we can make this happen. I'd also like to thank our partners at Nectar Therapeutics. They're a partner in our pipeline and soon to be our neighbor. So thank you and welcome. I'd like to thank Alexandria Real Estate. They've built the beautiful building that you see behind you that we will be calling home. So thank you, Alexandria. I'd like to thank our partners at GBA Kidder Matthews. They're our real estate broker who identified for us this great spot. Tim, James, thank you. I'd also like to recognize Flad Architects and BN Builders who are creating the laboratories and workspace for us to do the innovative work that we want to do here in San Francisco. John, Rob, Steve, thank you. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the leaders of Bayer sites in Berkeley and Emeryville. Jorg, I think, is here. Give a wave. There you go. Bayer's strong presence in the Bay Area is anchored by the work that you and your 1,900 employees do. So thank you. In just a few minutes, we'll also have our tours of our future home, hard hat tours. We'll go in groups of 10 to 20. We'll be going in small groups. We'll start with the distinguished guest speakers today. And while you wait, please go ahead and enjoy some light refreshments over to my right. The U.S. Innovation staff will also be walking over to the UCS campus, the Rock Hall, where we'll at 11 o'clock get a brief orientation about Mission Bay from colleagues at QB3. So we'll get that all straightened out. And in closing then, Bayer is excited to be part of the Mission Bay future and the future of the life sciences in California. And as you will see behind you in a moment, we'll hope that we will put more than just our signature trademark on the future of life sciences here in San Francisco. Thank you all for attending and making this a great event. Thank you.